TeamPokeColors channel. Oh my god. TeamPokeColors family, welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new, hit the like button, subscribe down below, and now that dislikes are disabled, if you like disliking videos, have a heyday. Go ahead and dislike this video. I don't care, nobody's gonna see it. But I will see the likes, so if you'd like to, like and I don't think you can like and dislike, but if you want to leave a like, I'd appreciate it. Lets me know you guys enjoy the content. Today, we're going to be revisiting a video that I'd made a long time ago, back when the channel was very tiny, and my recording studio was me just holding my phone and talking about Pokemon cards in a way. But today, guys, we're going to be revisiting how to grade your Pokemon cards for PSA without actually sending them to PSA, because especially now, it costs dang near $20 to $30 to $40 even dollars just to grade a card, and for it to come back less than an 8, you're basically wasting your money. Especially now, if you go to eBay, type in Pokemon PSA ending soonest filter, you will find tons and tons of PSA graded cards for very cheap prices. For example, recently I said I saw a Skyridge Reverse Snorlax and a PSA 8 sell for only 80 bucks. That's pretty cheap. For a Skyridge Reverse being a Snorlax too, I think that's pretty cheap. So today we're going to actually take a look at some PSA cards, because in the previous video from forever ago, I had just sent some cards to PSA, and I actually didn't own any PSA cards in person, so we're going to take a look at a 10, some 9s, and some 7s, so you guys can kind of get a better grasp on if your cards are actually worth sending in. You might be wondering, as well, like, okay, if my cards aren't worth sending them in, what can I do to protect them best? Because, they're only going to get worse over time unless you PSA grade them. So I recommend putting your cards in top loaders or binders that have built-in sleeves into the binders. That's the best way to preserve your cards. And as well as not only doing that, but using a card sleeve on your cards like this. They're very affordable and cheap. You can just sleeve your cards in these. I have the thicker plastic ones, not realizing what they were before I bought them, but here's the sealed package. I like these a lot. They're a little bit thicker than the penny sleeves, and they're a little bit more expensive. I think I paid around $5 or $6 for this pack of 100, so really it's not that bad of a deal. And they slide into binders a lot nicer, in my opinion, so definitely check these out. So let's take a look, guys. What does a PSA 10 card look like? I only have one, and I've been meaning to get more, but this is, in the eyes of PSA, this is a PSA 10. This is a Light Flareon from Neo Destiny, all right? And if you take a look, we're gonna actually, I'm gonna zoom in here in a second so you guys can actually see. But really, the main factor of a PSA 10 is the centering. They take a look at a few things. They take a look at the centering, the surface, and the overall quality of the card, being that it isn't scratched, buffed, damaged, surface scratches, that kind of thing. So that all goes into play. And then it also has a little bit of weight on what the card is. So if this was, pretend this is not a Light Flareon and this is a base set Shadowless First Edition Charizard, they will probably not have graded this a 10. This would probably be an 8, just because if you look right here, you might be able to see it from this view. I'll zoom in a second. There's a very tiny white speck right there. And in my previous video, I mentioned that PSA likes to control the populations of PSA 10s. I think that's true to an extent. It depends on the card, in my opinion. So let's zoom in here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So look at that. Here's an overall view of a PSA 10. I don't know if this is inside the case right here, this little speck there. Not sure what that's about. It might just be a piece of the plastic. So if you turn it around here, look at this. You guys can see there's a white speck right there on the edge of my thumbnail, and then there's a little whitening right there. So I will see if I can highlight that. Do I have a pen? Let me grab a pen so I can point to what I'm actually talking about, because this is very important, especially if you're considering sending in cards to PSA, because you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars for your PSA cards to come back as 4s, you know what I mean? So here we go. Let's take a look. So right there, there's a white speck right at the end of the pen, and then there's a little whitening right here along the top. And then if you look at the bottom, you can see in the bottom left corner, there's a white speck here and here, and then I think that is really it. So overall, it's a very beautiful card, well-centered, no surface scratches, but those little specks would be the things that would basically take your card from a PSA 10, if it was a Charizard base set Shadowless First Edition, to maybe a PSA 8 or 9 to help control the prices. So that is a PSA 10. I'll put that in the back for now. Let's take a look at a PSA 9. And obviously the generational PSA 9s for like EX era to like black and white, there'll be differences, minor differences, but overall I have a PSA 9. This is just a Plasma Blast reverse foil, and then this is like an EX bag on reversed Dragon Frontier. So this has a little bit more weight and value in terms of price just because it's from the EX era, but if you take a look, overall I would say they're about equally centered. I think this card here, being the reverse card, actually has better centering than the bag-on, but it's still got a 9. So I'm unsure, maybe just the corner edgeware would be the only reason that it got a 9 compared to maybe getting a 10. But I want to take a look at something else real fast, because the difference between 9s and 10s are very, very tiny and hard to see. But if you crack out a PSA 7, that's where you can really kind of see the difference here. So overall, the thing with PSA 2 is they don't have breakdowns for like surface, corners, centering, all that stuff like Beckett does. So you kind of have to guess. But if you take a look at this 7, let's zoom in here so you guys can see this better. Look at these little white specks up along the left side. There's 2. Let me get my pen back out. So the edgeware is a little bit more visible, especially if you look at the right side. We'll get to that in a second. But if you look at the bottom left corner, that whitening, that is not good if you're trying to grade for a 10. Neither are little white specks on the sides. And that's why Pokemon cards are relatively hard to grade, because the blue background really makes the white stand out. If you look at any other, I think if you look at, what's the card called? Maybe other TCGs might have it easier because the whitening, you know, might blend in with the background. But here at the top, white speck, more edgeware on the corner, and then look at this right side, literally edgeware the whole way down. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I think you can see that. It's pretty much just either miscut, like cut poorly, or it's just been scratched up a little bit along the way down. And then you have the whitening in the corner. So this is a Vaporeon EX Delta species, but it's only a 7. So in my eyes, if I had this card in my collection ungraded, I would probably grade it just because the artwork's super cool regardless. But if I graded this and it came back a 7, and it only, you know, it costs probably like 40 or 50 bucks and it came back a 7, which might be worth less than that, but being that it's a Vaporeon, it probably wouldn't be. I'd be severely upset. So let's take a look now. I've kind of introduced what PSA cards look like. I didn't do that in the previous video, so hopefully you guys can appreciate that. Here's another 7 for reference, zoomed out version. This one I think is a little bit better in terms of edgeware, so you might just have surface scratching, which if you look in the hollow foil, usually you can tell, which it's a lot easier to tell with cards like this where you can see, you know, visible scratches if there is any. And I don't think that there is. I think it's just centering and then edgeware for this guy as well. So let's take a look now at some single cards that are ungraded that you might consider grading because of the card itself. But I'm going to tell you that it's very difficult. So first of all, we have this Legendary Collection Zapdos reverse. You might look at it like this and think, okay, like this angle right here, other than like some visible bends and stuff, it looks great. But if you got to hit the light just right, you can see there's a massive crease here and at the top right corner. And from the front, centering looks okay, I think. If it was a near mint card without the creases, I think it would look great. But then you flip it over, ooh, there's that edgeware we were talking about earlier. So if this had no bends and creases with its current edgeware in the back, it would probably grade a 6. Because if you look, this bend is so deep that it has gone through and kind of, you can see it bent in the card on the back right there. So that is something, pretend that's not there. If you also take a look at the surface is okay. You can really see, if you get you gotta like, how do I put this? you have to use proper lighting when analyzing Pokemon cards for PSA, because they're gonna take it and they're gonna just hold it under the best of the best lights to grade it. And you can even see scratches here that you wouldn't see normally if just looking at it like this. So this card, you know, it's got scratches, bends. If it didn't have bends, pretend it just had scratches in the edge wear. Guaranteed 6, guaranteed. If you grade any card with any type of damage, that instantly drops it to a 6. So if you're trying to buy PSA cards off of eBay, I would suggest don't buy 7s, because as you guys just saw the Vaporeon, you know, 7s can still have some pretty bad edge wear and they look kind of, you know, kind of crummy. But I would say your safest bet is starting at 8s and then going to 9s, and then obviously a 10 is obviously a 10, you know, and you can't go up from there. So if you're trying to buy just slabs on eBay or anywhere else, look for 8s, 9s, and 10s. I used to say only look for 9s and 10s, but recently I've been looking at 8s and they're a lot more cheaper and affordable compared to 9s and 10s. And it's only a matter of time before the price curve of 10s and 9s trickles into 8s, whereas 10s will be like the top of the line. Like if you have a 10, like you might as well just sell it and make profit. And then 9s will be like the new 10s now, where it's, you know, up for debate as whether or not it's actually a 10. So let's take a look at another few cards here and we'll wrap this video up here shortly. So here is a scissor from Neo, oh gosh, I'm so terrible at the Neo sets. Neogen? I don't know. Correct me in the comments, I don't care. I don't really have to remember the type of symbol for the Neo set, but I know it's from a Neo set. But look at this. This is a, a very nice card overall, but if you hit the light just right, you can see, obviously, look at that scratching in that hollow foil right there. That is not good. This would probably grade, I would have to guess, based on its current condition, honestly, they'd probably grade this a 6 or a 5. If it had no scratches and the edge wear on the back was the same and the surface wasn't really crummy looking, then I would say they'd probably grade it a 7. So, and people have asked, do they care about the curvature of the card? I would think not, because, you know, I wouldn't send in a card though that's like, I wouldn't send in a card that's warped like this though. Like if it's warped like this bad, don't send it in. Just because it gets to a point of warping where it starts to then, you know, create that bend and crease in the card, which is, you know, something that PSA also looks at. And they could consider that as damage. So if it's warped enough, they might say it's like, oh, that's, you know, guaranteed 6. Let's just put it at 6. Now, if it's just a little corner, if it's just warped a little bit, like maybe something like this, just a little bit of a warping just from sitting out, they probably wouldn't care about that as much, but I would just submit cards to be on the safe side that you know are not damaged. So back to scissor here, looking also on the front, there's really no surface scratches down here. It's just in the hollow foil. And you can see that the yellow side here, let me just zoom in real quick. You can see there's like some scuffs on the yellow, which that also sticks out. We have some peeling up top. I don't know if you can hear that. So if you can hear that, that's the hollow foil being peeled back because of wear and tear. So that is also not good. And yeah, overall it's a great card, but would I grade it? Absolutely not. This is moderately played to hard play at best. And that's with, you know, the surface scratching, the weird back texture that it's got, the edge wear, and the centering. Centering's not too bad, actually. So let's take a look at a card that I think would have a good chance at a 9 or maybe a 10. It would depend on the grader. So this is one of my favorite cards, Latios from EX Delta Species. Reason why I think this might grade a 9 is because the centering on the front is a little left and top corner shifted. As you can see, the corner in the top left is very thin compared to the corner on the right. So there's a picture reference. And it's a lot easier to see when you zoom it out. It's like definitely the top left corner is not as thick as the bottom right corner, or even the bottom in general. But if you flip it over, there's no edge wear. Like there's a maybe faint line there, but that is something that they don't really care for. It's really just the deep stuff. And that is the same type of edge wear that we saw in our Flareon PSA 10 with a couple little white specks right there and right there. And this one, like if you compare the two, check it out. they're pretty darn similar, and it might be even better than the Flareon because there's no white, like visible white specks there. So that may also be because it's a common card. And if you look at the holo foil, which I'm gonna gently take this out of the sleeve just for demonstration purposes. Hopefully you guys don't get mad at me, but I really don't like to handle this card that much, especially because I am gonna try to grade it. But if you look, check that out. There is hardly any surface scratches on that holo foil. And if there is anything, it's just like little hollow specks that are missing here, but I don't know that they would really care so much about that. It's just like, look at that. I mean, dude, freaking Latios Delta species. And let's take a look at the back. So there is a couple white specks here and here, and really that's all I see, and maybe a little bit in the top bottom right corner. Back, the surface, you really want to look for this uniform type of texture. Like this right here is what you want to look for in your own cards. Let's take, you know, brand new, packed fresh, sealed, near mint, what is this, Hop Hip from Evolving Skies to compare. The texture, it's a little bit more vibrant because it's freshly printed, but as you can see, they're very similar in likeness. So definitely check under like good lighting for your cards, because you don't want to, you know, think a card is amazing and then you send it to PSA and it comes back a 7 and you're just unsatisfied, especially considering the amount of money that it costs to send cards to PSA. So guys, please leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hopefully this was better explained than the previous video. And if you want to watch the previous video for reference or just for time's sake, that will be linked at the end of this video. So I do want to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in today. And like I said, please let me know in the comments, have you tried to submit to PSA and was it what you thought it was? Or did you watch the previous video and then send some cards to PSA and maybe it helped you? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. It's been over a year, I believe, or close to a year since that video. So I thought it was worth revisiting, especially now since I have legit PSA 10s and 9s and 8s and 7s to actually compare to. So please let me know in the comments section below what you guys thought about this remake. And best of luck to you in your PSA endeavors. Hopefully you guys submit the best of the best cards, and please refer back to this video anytime you have any questions or doubts, or leave a comment because I will gladly respond. And yeah, have a great day, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Peace!